Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Sunday, October 8th. So I thought John had asked me in a comment if I could talk about three different video ideas. And the first one was parts distribution. And just to carry over from that, when I talk all these distributors, stems, rotary, all them, you can't buy directly from them unless you are a real legit business. All right, you got to have your business name, your tax ID. If you want credit, you have to fill out credit apps and stuff like that. It's just simple. You can't just walk in off the street without being a business owner. But Stens and Rotary, those two aftermarket companies, have got thousands of dealers selling their products. And we sell their products. A lot of times, like online, we're still selling on eBay, Amazon, Sears, Walmart. We're still shipping. We're still selling stuff, going places. It doesn't mean that I have to be local to you to sell to you. And that's the new way we do business. The second idea John had was how do we protect ourselves this day and age from what's going on with the minimizing risk to the business. So I'll do that one today. And then tomorrow for Monday morning, I'm going to do the one on banking and, everything from accepting money to sending money to everything in between. So stay tuned. All right, so let's first talk about what's actually going on today. And today we are seeing a lot of what they have, this smash and grab. And it's from kids to young adults. Your problem isn't those kids and young adults. And you're thinking, what do you mean? Your problem is the representation that you have. They're supposed to be representing you as a business owner, and that means providing a safe business environment, safe streets, law enforcement, attorney generals that do their job, governors that do their job. Just because it's a juvie and they got wrapped up in what they thought was fun and they damaged a business owner's property and took the products and stuff, that's a felony. And that felony can brand you with a scarlet letter. If you ever read that book, it's a good one. The Scarlet Letter to the rest of your life. If you're young enough, then they can seal your records. But once you get to be 18 years old, if you're involved in this crapola, stay away from it. Stay home. Because you're going to start seeing these governors and attorney generals flip-flopping because you got elections coming up. And they're going to start enforcing some of those laws. And what's that going to do to you? They don't care about you. They're fine when you were doing it to help their cause. But now you're hurting their cause. So throwing you in jail and putting a felony rap on you for life, they don't give a rat's ass. So my advice to you guys that may have been involved in it or looked into it, you younger guys, gals, stay away. See, I remember the one time that I shoplifted, and my grandfather taught me a valuable lesson. We had this little shop in downtown rural America where I lived, where the barber had his barber station, and then he also sold fishing equipment, guns, ammo, and so forth. So while you were getting your hair cut, other people waiting could be looking at your wares that you have for sale. Okay? So I was looking at all the things, and I found this one flashy lure because I loved to fish. I was about 11 years old, 10 years old, and I didn't have the money. So I just slipped it into my pocket. You know, why I did it? But when we finally got our haircuts done and we got home, my grandfather spotted that I had this lure. So he said, "Let me see that lure, Eric." So I brought it over to him, and he said, "Where'd you get that?" And one thing you didn't do is you didn't lie to your grandfather. He raised me, but he was towering 6'4", 6'5", and I was just a toddler in height. And the biggest thing that you could do to, as far as I was concerned, is to do something that he would feel less of you for doing it. So he sat me down at the kitchen table, and my grandmother came over to see all the excitement. So she had a seat, and he showed Grandma the lure. Grandma said the same thing. "Where did you get that lure?" See, my grandparents did it with love instead of spankings and stuff like that I had been through with my original parents that were now deceased. So the biggest thing you could do to my grandparents would be to disappoint them. And that's how I felt. I still feel that way, even though they're gone. But he explained why it's not right thing to do, why it's not right, and what kind of society would we have if people were just taking things from other people that they didn't belong to. And he gave me real world experience of what if your brothers took something of your stuff and there's no consequences. So I figured this was it. I was going to get it. Instead of being, the loving grandparents, I just line up, get my ass whipped, but no, they made it worse than I could imagine. And how's that? Because my grandparents told me, "You're going to walk this back down to the barber shop, and you're going to hand this to the barber that owns it, and tell him what you did. Apologize. And then get your ass home." So as I was walking down through, my grandfather called the fellow that owned the shop and said, "This is what Eric did, and this is what we want. He's coming your way to make sure he apologizes to you and shows you the fishing lure, and you take that back." And the barber was great. He said, "Don't worry about it. Walt, let Eric have it." Not with Grant. He said, "No, you don't." he has got to learn that you have to earn and make money to get this kind of stuff. And if you just give it to him after the apology, he's not learned much. And he was right. And I did that with my kids. And I'm doing it with my grandkids. It's easy for these people to be doing smash and grabs when they don't have to look the business owner in the eye of his whole life savings most of the time and have to apologize for destroying and stealing everything he had in his store. I think that if the young people had to do that, that'd cure a lot of them. If anything, sit your kids down if they're that age, or your grandkids, and make sure it's not them that are part of this. It starts at the home. But that's why I say that it's not so much the kids and all that. Is the biggest problem you have is representation, whether you're a homeowner, a business owner, or a corporate giant. You need to have key people in those offices that are going to keep you safe. And that starts with voting for the right people in the right office for the right reason. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. I think everybody can agree that what's taking place with this anarchy needs to stop. Our southern border needs to stop. Sending money everywhere else, but yet having homeless on the street, we need to vote somebody else in. There's a lot of reasons for people being homeless. And we need to find a way to adequately take care of them. Mental health. Almost every state has reduced mental health funding. And we've shut down facilities here in New York, especially up here in the North Country. I can give you an example. We've got a state-of-the-art mental health facility that is locked doors. You can't get in or get out without having a guard open the door for you. And it's for everybody's protection, but more so it's for the patient's protection. Okay? That facility used to handle 12 to 1,400 people from all over New York. And they had their own vegetable gardens, their own dairy, their own... I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. But the one that they have left, that they built new on that property, has 3 or 4 different units. And when I say units, I mean the way they used to do it, where they put the older folks in this unit, and then middle age, and then the young people in this unit, okay? And they were there for what should have been short-term treatment, okay? Some people cannot function on their own, okay? But they went and they took and they shut down all but one unit that has got 30 beds. And there's no movement in those 30 beds. You've got these other couple wings that were totally remodeled. But our governor, past and current, decided that they were going to shut all these places down because it wasn't fair to have mental health people in crisis locked up. That's what they told you. They didn't have the funding because they were stealing the funding from the mental health community and putting it somewhere else. All right? It's not because they cared about the mental health. It's because the mental health community, people that were homeless, people that needed treatment, were costing too much. It's bullcrap. See, here in New York, we decided that we're going to tell people that are sexual predators that's a mental health issue. No, that's a choice. I'm sorry. You're scum of the earth. It's a choice. Alcoholism and drugs. That's a choice. You can choose to do it or not do it. That is your choice, okay? That is not mental health. Mental health is not doing drugs, not doing alcohol, not being a sexual predator on kids, but that you truly do have a mental health condition that when in crisis you need to be put into some place that's safe, that you feel safe, okay? And that you have people that are trained around you to help you go through what you need to go through. Same goes for the prisons and this cashless bail. It's not because they feel it's the right thing to do. It's because they're trying to cut costs. Because prisons, jails, detains all cost the state government money and the federal government money. But there's three types of homelessness. One is forced, two is drug and alcohol, and three is mental health. And our veterans fall under mental health, all right? The first one, which is forced, I can give you a real-world example, is years ago when all the tech giants all moved to San Francisco, Silicon Valley. What took place to the local residents? Because all of a sudden now, rent that they have been paying and living there now doubled, quadrupled in costs. Because all these tech employees were making good money, and so the cost of renting close to these facilities and stuff went sky high. And the only ones that can afford it were the employees that were recently hired by these tech giants. It wasn't the local residents. So a lot of people got displaced because they no longer could afford to live there, and they could no longer afford to buy a place because now even those properties went up in value so much that it pushed the local people right out. And a lot of people found themselves homeless with their kids, moms with their kids. We just need affordable housing, all right? That's the real answer. Drugs and alcohol, southern border, and better treatment programs. Mental health, having a place to house them, to keep them safe, and to get them on the right path is what we need. All right, so that's my 2 cents on what I think is really going on when it comes to risk managing for your business. Is these things need to be taken care of, all right? But now, what do you do in the meantime? All right, here's a couple things you can do. You could install, if you haven't already, a security system that has cameras and key points at your business, inside and out. And you don't need state of the art or hiring somebody to come in and, put in a security system for you. You can go to your Harbor Freight. They sell it with 6 or 8 cameras. You need to just read the directions and go through it. The one that we have here, I bought years ago at Harbor Freight. And most of my cameras are wired. And what do I mean by wired? It means there's a wire has to go to it. All right? The ones they've got out today are wireless. You can even get the ones that will, if it senses motion on any one of your cameras in your business, it goes to your phone, alerts you, and you can visually see what's going on at your business. Now, that's only going to help you so far. I mean, for what I'm seeing, a lot of these stores that are being ransacked and stole from, they've got these people on camera and still not doing anything. But I think if you're a smaller town, rural area, we'd do something about it. I had problems when I first decided to go with it because I've always been that type of person that I'll trust you until you give me a reason to distrust you. But when another shop owner told me, he said, it's not there for your protection. It's there for your employees. I'm like, how is it there for my employees? Because if you have a customer come in and they're being obnoxious towards your employees, it's all on camera. And you want to have the camera systems that also record, people talking so that it can be heard. And that can be used in court if had to. Biggest problem I had when it came to the cameras was putting cameras out in the shop. The ones that griped the most were my mechanics, that they felt that it was infringing on their privacy. Well, first off, if I own the building and you're employed by me, how is that infringing on you? But I told him, I said, look, if you think I'm putting cameras in here because I want to see you guys working and not slouching and stuff like that, if I have to worry about somebody not doing their job, cameras or no cameras, you're gone. That's it. I don't micromanage. I don't. The cameras are there just as a security system for somebody coming in, a pissed off customer, what have you, and it's being recorded. All right. So that you can do for less than $300. You can get a security system. The one that I have has its own hard drive in it, and I think it's 300 gig. And after it gets to the end, it just starts, rewriting over top. It just keeps going. So, you don't ever need to change it. And if something happened at a certain time, you can go back and look at it. Now, firearms. All right. I do conceal carry a 9mm. I do it at work. I do it open carry on the farm. I do it with the farm because some of the bulls I've been put to the ground before. It's for my own safety. But the thing is I've always been blessed with being able to talk my way out of most diffuse things, because carrying doesn't make me feel any tougher or, walking around thinking it's there for last resort. And that's what I need to tell you guys. that if you're going to be using a firearm, if you're going to be carrying a pistol, you want to make sure you have the permits in place and, make sure, because each city is different. Now, in New York, I have concealed carry, but I can't conceal carry in New York City because they have their own. You need to know the regulations. You need to know the laws. And violence like that is always a last resort. And that's a threat to you or your family or your employees. So if you're going to have firearms at your premise, at your work and so forth and home, you need to understand and know what safe gun handling is. So I would encourage you, prior to going out and buying that firearm, to attend a couple courses on how to safely handle and store that firearm. All right. Up here in rural New York, we're teaching our kids, and in my case, I'm teaching my grandkids. The youngest one that I'm working with is 9. And I was taught when I was young of not to be afraid of the firearm, but to respect it and understand that it has to always be pointed in a safe direction. The gun is always loaded, even when you think it's unloaded, and how to safely carry and how to safely store your firearm. And in most rural areas that have people that hunt and so forth, we're teaching our kids young the right way. So when they get up to that age where they want to hunt and so forth, and they have to take a safety course, that it should be a breeze for them, because that's all they've been taught up to that point. So the other thing you can do as a business owner is insurance. Now, my insurance policy covers fire and theft together. It's one part of my big policy, okay? And people in rural areas like myself, or like where I'm at, think that, well, what's going on in the cities with this smash and grab and all that other stuff isn't going to affect me. And that's totally untrue. And why do I say that? I say that because the insurance companies are paying out, all right? And they're going to start crying foul that it's costing them too much. It's fine when they collect your money, but if they got to give it back, for having that insurance. So what ends up happening is the insurance rates go up per 1,000. So you may have had $500,000 in coverage for your inventory, and for the money you were spending to have that, you may only get $50,000 now with the policy. The insurance companies are not going to eat this. They're going to pass it on to everybody else that is getting insurance, all right? Because they don't care where you're at. All they care is to bring in more revenue. So making sure you have a good insurance policy in place that covers fire, theft, what have you, flood, if you're in flooded areas, is another thing you can do to minimize the risk. And lastly, the other way you can reduce risk at your business is how you set your business up in the beginning. If you're a sole proprietor, you're open to everything. To when you become an S Corp or a C Corp, that protects you and your personal assets, and the business is on its own, standing on its own feet. So if something happens where they're going after the business assets, they can't come after your assets. But that should be talked to with someone, if you're, a tax accountant, financial planner, sit down with them, because everybody's unique, all right? So things that may be top priority for you may not be for me, and vice versa. So to kind of wrap this all up, we need to start voting and getting people in key places that are going to do what's best for us. And not as just business owners, but as us, here in the U.S. We need to understand why we have so much homeless people and why mental health isn't being addressed and ask why not. Smash and grabs. Why is it not being taken care of? Buying a security system. The sky is the limit and how much money you want to spend. The less time you want to spend doing it, the more it's going to cost you to hire somebody else to come in and do it for you. There's a lot of companies out there that monitor, will come in and set up everything, and they will monitor what's going on at your business. And if somebody breaks in, per se, this or that, they will automatically call your local police department to have them come out. You don't even need to even be part of it. 2, where I'm fully involved with it because I run the cameras, and I'll be the one to call or not call. And then lastly, it's the insurance. Making sure you have adequate insurance on your business and your people. And with what's going on in this day and age, it's going to affect all of us at our businesses because our insurance costs are going to go up. Guaranteed. And it's not fair to the rest of us when we have these politicians and people in key places not doing their job. Like I say, you're going to see some changes between now and 24, because of the election cycle coming up. Everything from Biden saying now he has to put the fence in because it's required. It's all crap. He's doing it because he knows that that's one of the things that's hurting him the most, is an open southern border. So on that note, you guys have a great Sunday, and we'll see you here tomorrow morning to talk about everything from loans to anything to do with the business when it comes to money. All right? On that note, if you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe and share with your friends so we can get more people on the channel. On that note, have a great day.